Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to the Terror Summit. We are really honored to be able to present our research results. My name is Malgorzata Wójcik. I'm from University of Social Sciences and Humanities in Poland, and together with Jakub Mróz, we will present today. Let me apologize first because unfortunately we're not able to be present during Q&A session. Well, I'm sure you will understand there is a bit of difficult situation here in Poland now. We're trying to take best care of war refugees from Ukraine, also in our university. So our days are fully packed right now. But should you have any question, feel free to write us an email. I will be happy to answer. So let me first tell you what we think is really important to research and talk about bullying. So as we're going to talk about the impact of school bullying and a different perspective. So we think that no matter what you do in education, whether you're a teacher or an educator or a psychologist, or you design methods for teaching, recognizing and understanding bullying and its mechanism in a school group is really important for prevention, because bullying carries consequences that are immediate from a child at school or a teenager at school, but also has a great consequences in the future. So for adult life, for a professional life, or from family life, intimate relationship, and we will show today. So let me tell you what we're going to talk about today. So first we will look at the definition of school bullying, then traditional bullying categories that we're trying to broaden or to deepen with our research. We will look at bullying timeline, victim perspective of bullying. So this is our main focus here today. I'll tell you about Kinga's case, one of our respondents, and the bullying interaction sets that revealed themselves in our research, in our data. Jakub will tell you about all the post-bullying syndrome and our newest result, which is theoretical model of bullying algorithm. And then we'll go on a little bit to a practical implications of our results. So when we talk about school bullying, we mean a social process in which an individual in a less powerful position is intentionally and repetitively harassed or excluded by other students, and it goes on for a certain period of time. Sometimes it's a few weeks, sometimes it's a few years. Very important is the fact that imbalance of power is actually enabled by social and institutional norms. So it is kind of there at school, and the school pushes it in a way, we may say that, onto students. So this context of school and education system is also very important. Bullying also implies that there is an absence of effective responses and care towards targeted students by peers of adults. We will try to broaden this definition, showing you that it is really a very complex issue. Let me present traditional bullying categories. So there is physical and verbal bullying. This is to cause immediate harm by name calling, hitting, kicking, threatening with weapon, stealing or destroying things, for example. But there is also relational bullying, which refers to harming the victim through a third party, such as victim social network, friendship, social support, acceptance in a peer group. It is displayed through, various forms at school, but also at internet. For example, by gossiping, by excluding, by giving a silent treatment, ignoring. It is also, happening on the internet, so ruining the reputation and destroying friendship, destroying networks around the student. So finally, the student at a certain moment is left alone, and it's lonely in a very hostile environment. Yes, let me also tell you, because we think it's important itself to understand, but also to show our newest results, is a timeline of bullying, how it happens from the first attack to full-blown stage of bullying. And the full-blown stage of bullying is the moment that it is actually too late to react. We obviously have to react, but undoing everything is very difficult. So it is really important to notice it when there is this first stage of first attack, because this is the stage when it is tested, who would be easy bully. There are jokes about appearance, jokes about behavior. They seem, not very important and significant, but when you look at, further stages, it actually is very important. And there are some primary exclusion markers that are different for different cultures, but it is mainly about difference. If somebody is different in any way, has a great chance to become a victim to bullying. At that stage, the victim thinks, is it a joke? Is it serious? Why they are doing that to me? But doesn't really know yet. So the coping strategies at this stage is not doing anything, just waiting to see what would happen next. And unfortunately, quite often the initial stage of bullying happens when the class builds a multi-deviant victim, so adds more markers to this primary marker, confirms the victim position in the class. So we don't like you, you don't fit here, you don't belong here. There are more students joining in, even if they don't want to. They are kind of joining in, in bullying. There are open acts of bullying, and primary isolation understood as class pushing and isolating the victim from themselves. At that point, the victim realized, well, I am bullied, this is serious, and start to think, why is it happening to me? And there is an external or internal behavioral attribution. So external means, they are mean. And internal is I am behaving, internal behavioral, I am behaving in a way that makes them bully me. For example, I wear not appropriate clothes, or I laugh in a inappropriate way, or something that I can change. So this is a problem focused behavior, trying to change something in order to make them like me. But sometimes, well, quite often, unfortunately, it doesn't help. Well, it doesn't help because it's not about the behavior. Frequent acts of bullying appear, multiple forms of bullying at the same time, recreating exclusion within the class, confirming the victim's status of exclusion, and this is the moment that last friend or last ally leave. Victim becomes to feel lonely, unhappy, anxious, helpless, start to think it is my fault. It is because the way that I am, that they don't like me. It will never finish. It's stable. It will be like that all the time. It's out of my control. There's nothing I can do about it. The coping strategies are maladaptive and emotional focus. What appears here, and Kuba will talk about later, is the secondary isolation. So the victim isolates herself or himself from the class because it's painful to be there. So avoid school, tries to be invisible, try to not to talk with people too much. And also what appears is an expected hostility. So the victims start to expect everybody to hurt him or her, even if they have good intention. Expected hostility is something that comes first. So this is very important for us educators to look at that from this perspective, from both victim and the class, actually, to see where are the best moments for us to intervene and to stop this vicious circle of bullying. Let's look and let's concentrate on student perspective, because victimized student perspective, because that's probably very important for understanding why there are such a severe consequences in adulthood. And in order to look at that from the inside, we started BULTRA research project. BULTRA stands for Bullying and Transition to Adulthood. So we looked how bullying experiences can influence the way people are as adults, for example, their relationships. We used qualitative research methodology, so individual in-depth interview and interpretative phenomenological analysis as a methodology of data analysis. What we found out were 8 sets of bullying behaviors and victims in a reaction as a complement to commonly shared categories of violence. So we found out that there were 8 sets. I'll talk today only about a few because we do not have time. So erasement, friends betrayal, intimate humiliation, self-image attack, trauma of being ignored, abusive exclusion, aggressive exclusion, and aggressive protection. Those are the 8 set of bullying behaviors that we would like to talk about. In order to help you understand this complex issue, I will tell you about Kinga's case. So the best way to investigate victim's perspective is actually to present it on a case in our study. So when we asked Kinga about school, she said she was tormented. She was bullying from the beginning of primary school, and she experienced verbal aggression, relational aggression. She also, there was also very serious physical violence, like hanging her by her legs from the bathroom, locking her in the toilet during classes. A reason for being bullied, she indicated her petite posture, that she was thin and short and different from others in that respect. She felt misfitted with the group and very alienated. She asked for help, but she didn't receive help even from parents or from teachers. She also mentioned that she tried to defend herself. So she was fighting back using aggressive violence. She wasn't proud of that, but at the same time, she said it made her feel stronger. She made her, feel powerful, and that she meant something, that she, could say something. So that was a strength and power. In secondary school, she was betrayed by friends. So they, for example, revealed her secrets. And she also said that she had some problems entering the group during her university years. She said directly that using and accepting violence as a coping strategy had an effect on her intimate relationship. So she tended to enter toxic relationships. Talking about her marriage, she revealed psychological and sexual violence and manipulation. She said, unfortunately, my husband decided to leave. But she also said that she agreed to abuse in relationship. She couldn't stand for herself. She couldn't communicate her needs in non-aggressive way because she feared rejection. She feared exclusion. She underwent psychotherapy, and it helped her change her mind about using violence in general. She's very aware of bullying. She talks about bullying with her student, but she also sees the direct link between being bullied and, the problem with the relationship that she is facing now. And using Kinga's case, I'll talk about the sets of bullying behaviors. So first one is erasement. Erasement is something that we noted that begins at the beginning of a bullying process. So it's an attempt to wipe victim out from the class community. She was being treated like someone who can always be pushed, poked, punched, and those acts, caused a growing sense of exclusion, loneliness, a feeling of being not important, of, being invisible in class community. Erasement also includes petty theft, infringement of property, public contempt, and other ways that other students show that they are superior and that a victimized student is worse. Well, friends betrayal, as the name suggests, describes something that happened to Kinga in secondary school. Their friends didn't have the courage to say directly that they wanted to end relationships, so they cheated on her. They turned other people in the class against her. She felt at that moment very vulnerable and very defenseless. And it was also reinforced by the sense of betrayal, the sense of abandonment. This set also includes revealing secrets, accepting violence against a friend, emotional manipulation, treason, abandonment. some of those things happened to Kinga. Self-image attack, another set of bullying behavior. Perpetrators, publicly laughed at Kinga's appearance because there was a small posture, her body structure. They indicated the differences between her and the rest of the students in the class. They did it in the very kind of mocking way. It caused a long-term drop in self-esteem, and it had a huge impact on an adult life. As Kinga and other respondents in our study really, they had the very low self-esteem when it went about, seeing themselves as women, and, entering relationship with that image was very difficult for them. Aggressive protection, there is another set. As you know, as I told you, Kinga used aggression in order to protect her or to fight back. She defended herself, and at the same time she felt guilty, having engaged in aggression, physical and verbal aggressive behaviors. As an effect, she took blame for being bullied, excused perpetrator, and did not ask for help because she felt she wouldn't receive help because she was provocative. And it deepened really the feeling of helplessness, loneliness, and this kind of shared responsibility of being a victim. So provoking, using aggression in defense was in her view viewed as a provocation. Now I'll pass my voice over to Jakub, who will tell you about consequences of school bullying, named in literature as an adult post-bullying syndrome. So over to you, Kuba, and thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I would like to tell you about very interesting concept in psychology, which is adult post-bullying syndrome, defined by Ellen DeLara in 2016. It is characterized by self-esteem issues and shame, problems in relationships resulting from a lack of trust, tendencies towards people-pleasing, ruminating on past events, and emotional disorders. It may also occur in generalized anxiety, social anxiety, agoraphobia, depression, panic disorder, antisocial personality disorder, substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and sometimes in suicidality. Because of really serious consequences of being bullied as a child, it was worth to investigate the connection between being bullied and those serious consequences. So looking for this connection, we've created the theoretical model of bullying algorithm. It is situated in social cognitive theory, and it shows the process during adaptive strategies change their adaptive character and begin to consolidate into patterns. The way it works resembles a social media algorithm. As probably you know, social media algorithm manages the way the person acts on the internet by delivering a particular content. What was once liked by an individual impacts what you will see later, what individual will see later. And similarly, the bullying algorithm impacts individual developmental trajectories by delivering specific sets of responses which were applied and proven useful in bullying context. It is about sequential scheme that works similarly to computer virus. which affect the system, I mean, in metaphoric way, system of victimized individuals. It restricts possibilities of choices and affects the way individuals interpret their experiences and take actions. The individual blocks of our model describe sequentially events and the accompanying experiences of the participants. So the first block, it is entrance block, describes personal characteristic of the victimized person. This block describes an operating system on which the bullying algorithm has been installed. Because the way our respondents understand bullying incidents and actions performed by them to protect themselves depends on their resources at the beginning of the whole process of being bullied. And by resources, we mean personal factors such as child's level of social emotional intelligence, previous experiences, personality, goals, cognitive biases, and other resources can be a relationship with parents or any emotional support. Of course, it can be also the economic status of the child's family. And going back to Kinga's case, she lived with her parents in a small town. She started her education elementary school there. She was an energetic, an active child, participating in a lot of sport activities, in scouting events. She emphasized that she wasn't able to decide for herself, as her parents and teachers made all important decisions, but they taking under consideration mainly the level of education and not supportive school climate or peer group relations. Her problems in peer group were downplayed. Another block, second block, this interacting block. It analyzes the way the victim perceives and feels about bullying incidents, and in that way, victim co-creates bullying experiences. The way this interaction block works depends on how victimized student interprets firstly, bullying environment, this hostile environment, his or her responses, and intentions of the perpetrators. I mean, why are they doing this to me? Our respondents paid the most attention to their feelings and thoughts related to various behaviors. And as I said before, perceived intentions of perpetrators. I will just remind you quickly Kinga's case, because her bullying story started with erasement, then it comes to abusive exclusion. There was also self-image attack, and later the situation worsened with an aggressive exclusion. So she had to aggressively protect herself. And in high school, she experienced friends betrayal when her close friends betrayed her. The third block, it is self-regulating block. It shows how self-regulation mechanisms work over time in this hostile bullying environment. Of course, no one wants to be a victim. So when you become one, you're trying certain things to stop it. During bullying process, our respondents undertook actions to change their situation in the classroom, but these actions were unsuccessful. And in some cases, they intensified attacks. at this point, it is good to imagine that the child has no easy way out from such situation. And they have to attend classes, it is compulsory. So victim had to be in this hostile bullying environment for a long time. Danger can come from anywhere. Perpetrators can attack you anytime. So the victim starts to self-regulate, to adjust to these circumstances. And as a result of self-regulatory mechanisms, which are operating on emotions, thoughts, behaviors, and motivation, respondents became more watchful. They became more alert. They learned how to bottle up their emotions, how to actively avoiding situations, for example, by skipping school or not attending trips or events. And of course, those strategies had different effects. Active avoidance gave them temporary relief and some kind of peace of mind. Caution and watchfulness allowed them to recognize possible threats or bad intentions. Bottling up emotions let them get through the day easily and avoid huge emotional tension. So going back to Kinga, she did not receive any help, neither from parents nor teachers. So she had to deal with bullying all by herself. And what she found was that the only aggressive defending brought expected results, as it brought her some respect in her group and some kind of relief. And now we're going to the fourth block, which is consolidating block. It investigates how the developed patterns of behaviors, those developed during bullying situations, occur in adulthood. Our analysis revealed 4 distinct groups of patterns that made social and relational functioning difficult. Those are expected hostility, avoidance, secondary violence, and self-concept. Kinga, as an adult, has recognized patterns of behaviors which she refers directly to bullying situation. It is secondary violence, because in her marriage, which she describes as a toxic, she used violent and aggressive communication and sometimes even emotional manipulation. Her acceptance for physical punishment was also referred to this pattern. She identified also a pattern of avoidance because entering a new group, she was seeking contact with peers, but she did not try to establish a relationship, what caused in turn secondary isolation. The last block, the fifth, it is exit block. It concerns the perceived impact of those patterns on establishing and maintaining intimate relationship. Our respondents felt that strong memories of bullying experiences have a huge impact on entering and maintaining new relationships in adulthood. They indicated low self-esteem, social distancing, difficulties in social interactions, communication difficulties, distrust, suspicion. They reported also the feelings of being immature and the sense of not deserving. They also very often tend to accept loneliness and have problems with getting used to new situations. Sometimes they were not assertive enough, and they have a tendency to over control. Sometimes they use aggression. Kinga's marriage broke and she's divorced. She underwent therapy and she realized that she had been using different form of interpersonal violence. Here you can see the whole bullying algorithm. Oh, I will put myself here. Yes, here is the whole bullying algorithm. We can see the sequences of experiences. You can find that the previous sequences program the following ones and lead to the final results, which are problems in entering and maintaining an intimate relationship. Yeah, our study results are really important for bullying prevention because teachers and other school personnel, even parents, need to look at bullying from different perspectives. You really have to pay great attention to the way victimized students interpret bullying incidents, because the way they perceive it plays a great role in the seriousness of bullying cases. It is also crucial to take care of victimized students during this interacting block and self-regulating block when patterns of behaviors are forming. Also, this might be the best time to prevent the system from being infected by a virus of bullying algorithm. It may not only break the vicious circle of victimization, but it may also prevent long-term consequences. Additionally, it can also help guiding therapy when adult post-bullying syndrome occurs. We know that victims blaming is still very serious problem, even during therapy. And algorithm may help to find a connection between experiences in the past with individual relational problems in the present. Yes, so thank you for your attention. Should you have any questions, of course, feel free to contact with us. Maybe you want to know more about our theoretical model. Maybe you want to start your own qualitative research. Feel free to contact us. Thank you very much.